Mecca 700. Mecca 700, Sheriff Eugene. Mecca, all units, be advised there's been no response from 700, Sheriff Eugene Crum. Sheriff Crum was a friend, a leader, a role model, dedicated to the citizens of Mingo County, a loving and devoted father, grandfather, and husband, who always placed family first. Sheriff Crum, your tour of duty is ended. We will continue to fight here until we meet again. And always remember, in the sheriff's words, if you're dealing drugs in Mingo County, we'll be knocking on your door soon. Rest in peace, knowing that your fight did not go in vain. 1713, April the 7th, 2013. Make it clear.
Well, hello everyone. Welcome to the channel. What I came out to tell you was a little story about something that happened right here in this very spot, right in the center of your screen. Now, I remember the day that this happened. I certainly do. I can remember coming by here. Our story today is about a man named Walter Eugene Crum, and he was born December 24th on Christmas Eve in 1953 in Logan to the late Walter Crum and Merle Steele Crum. He graduated from Birch High School just up the road here in Del Barton. He kicked off his law enforcement career as a corrections officer, spending 4 years in that position. After that, he moved on to work in Mate 1 and Del Barton police departments here in Mingo County, West Virginia. He was the sheriff here in Mingo County for a short time, just 93 days. But in that short time, he did make a big difference. He secured 57 felony drug convictions, more than any other sheriff in the past 30 years. Judge Michael Thornsberry noted that Crum had more indictments in his few months on the job than the county had seen in the last 8 years. He had dedicated himself to stopping the flow of illegal drugs into the area here. He even ate his lunch in his cruiser to watch over a closed pill mill here to make sure that it stayed closed. Before he officially took office, he worked on a drug task force as the commander, making arrests and getting indictments. While Crum and his team fought hard against the drug dealers, he received personal threats for his efforts to tackle prescription drug abuse. When Judge Thornsberry asked him about these threats, Crum replied, "I'm fighting back. I'm going to fight the good fight." Tragically, just minutes later, he was murdered right here on this spot. Crum was shot while having lunch in his patrol car in this very parking lot on April 3rd in 2013, shortly after noon. A man named Melvin Maynard, 37, approached Crum's SUV and shot him in the forehead and temple at close range, killing him instantly. After the shooting, Melvin fled south on US 52 that I just showed you toward Del Barton. When he got there, he ran into Corporal Norman Mines, from the Mingo County Sheriff's Department. During this encounter, Melvin pulled out a gun and Norman shot him, leaving him seriously injured. Maynard was taken to the Regional Medical Center in Logan County and later moved to Cabell Huntington Hospital. Crum, unfortunately, was declared dead at the scene by medical examiner Mike Casey. His body was sent to the state medical examiner's office in Charleston for an autopsy. Authorities found the gun used in Crum's murder in Maynard's vehicle. It was identified as a compact .40 caliber Glock handgun by Sergeant Joe Smith from the Mingo County Sheriff's Department.
Nearly 6 hours ago, around noon today, Sheriff Eugene Crum was fatally wounded, shot while parked alongside the road here downtown Williamson. He was shot by an assailant who ran up to his vehicle, opened fired, and fled back to his vehicle and then fled the area. We lost a great man today.
Following Crum's murder, the Mingo County Commission gathered on April 4th in 2013 for a very special meeting. Their goal was to appoint someone to serve as interim sheriff until Crum's term ended in 2016. The commission members unanimously chose Rosie Crum, Eugene Crum's widow, to take over. She was sworn in by Circuit Judge Michael Thornsberry during a candlelight vigil that same evening at 8 p.m. right next to the courthouse here in Williamson. On a side note, Judge Thornsberry was also the man who married Heather and I. Melvin Maynard, the guy who allegedly shot Eugene Crum, had a history of mental issues. He never really showed any grudges against the police department or anyone else for that matter. His dad thinks his problems may have come from chemicals that he was exposed to and an injury he received while working in a coal mine in Alabama. His father suggested that Melvin likely didn't even set out to target Eugene Crum, but still he admitted Melvin was off and could have shot anyone that he ran into. Even mentioned that his son needed to be in a hospital as Melvin had been in an institution before. Interestingly, Crum used to coach Melvin in boxing when he was a kid, and there were allegations of abuse against him from Melvin, but after the shooting. Crum is said to be buried at Lenore Memorial Gardens, so as usual, we'll just have to go look and verify his final resting place. Now, the interesting thing about this story, okay, about Eugene, before we leave, y'all know how anyone in the public eye, okay, police officers, politicians, religious leaders, YouTubers, I have my share of detractors, trust me. Anyone in the public eye is going to have all kinds of detractors. You know, I heard a saying once that you could save a busload of kids every day for an entire year, and there'll still be someone out there who don't like your face. You know what I'm saying? There's still, as far as we can tell, guys, now this is our research, through our research and stuff, Eugene seems to have been what he appears to have been. You know, y'all know how it is. Anyone, like I said, anyone in the public eye, and especially someone in law enforcement, you know, he gave you a ticket once because you ran that red light, or whatever the case may be. You know where I'm going here, right? You would think that anyone in his position would have their share of detractors, right? We can't really find any. Matter of fact, we can't really find anything negative about the man. But I guess when you get right down to it, it kind of matters. What really matters is the kind of person you know that you are, and the things that you do, and what you stand for. You know, that's what really matters. The 2 poles there, the 4x4s, that's the 3-hour parking limit sign right there. His cruiser was directly in front of it. When I drove by here, you seen the photo where I'm sure Heather will probably post it right about here, where the cruiser is covered by sheets. That's the point where I drove by. I remember driving by when, you know, all the activity going on, all the other cruisers here, and the sheets around Eugene's cruiser. Now, as far as the grave goes, I have been to this graveyard before, and to be honest, Heather and I looked for his grave once before when we were down there. We were looking for someone else, but Eugene was one of the graves that we looked for a little bit, and we didn't see him. But I have some new information, and we found some new stuff. You know how that goes, research, and I think I have a better idea of where he might be. So we're going to head out here in a minute and run down to a little place not too far from here called Lenore. It's not always rich and famous people on the Hillbilly Files. It's you and me and your neighbors next door most of the time. Just imagine all the people that have probably parked here since then and have no clue what happened there. Right there. I think the picture, I remember seeing the picture from about right in here somewhere. Well, anyway, let's head on out and head down toward Lenore and go see if we can find Eugene.
I'm doing as well as expected. We're still in shock, and I'm heartbroken, but I'm doing okay.
So there's a memorial service for your father a little later on this afternoon. Tell me what you want people to know about your dad and how you expect him to be recognized and eulogized today.
My dad was a very loving man. He was a loving father and grandfather. He loved his community. He's done a great job in the short 3 months that he's been sheriff. What he's accomplished is just amazing.
So just 3 months your dad was sheriff. Well, how important was this job, this responsibility to be this public servant in your community?
My dad fought tirelessly against drug abuse. He just wanted to clean up the county and make it a better place to live for the children that are growing up here.
Do you feel like your dad was targeted because, in large part, because he would fight drug abuse and try to bring the prosecution of those who were bringing drug problems to the community?
Things are still under investigation at this time, so we really are unsure, you know, why this has happened. But I think it's a very strong possibility.
So now, how concerned are you about your mom taking this position? She has assumed the responsibility that your dad had, and up until next year, May, so over a year, your mom will be sheriff. How worried are you for her?
I am concerned for her safety, but my dad had officers in place that took care of him very well, and I know that they're going to take care of my mom very well.
Is this something you all talked about as a family, you and your mom, you know, to assume his responsibilities after he was murdered?
We did. My mother and I and my brother, we did talk about it, and we did agree that my mom would be the best person to take his job. She's the one who knew him best. She knew what he wanted to accomplish, and I think she can finish the job that he started.
So take me into that conversation. What were all the concerns that you and your brother expressed to your mom? And how did she assure you?
Well, no one can be 100% sure of what's going to happen. You know, everything is in God's hands. And I just know that my mom is going to do a great job for this county. She loves this county as much as my dad did, and she'll carry on his legacy.
What kind of impact did your dad make on you?
My dad was my rock. He was the very person that I could call for anything, and he always had my side.
Now this here is Lenore, West Virginia, and you don't know if y'all can read the sign from here or not, but we're at the Lenore Memorial Gardens, and a place I'm very familiar with. I have a cousin buried right over there across the road. As a matter of fact, she used to live right down here. Her husband Johnny passed away from COVID, and then she passed away not long ago, matter of fact. But right up here is where I wanted to bring you guys. And I believe Eugene's story has a lot of relevance in today's world as well, in our modern world now. With all of the stuff going on in the world, this is Eugene's grave right here, by the way. Eugene Crum. Let me show y'all. Right here. 1953 to 2013. You are the wind beneath our wings. Sheriff Crum. Now, like I said, I believe, in my opinion, Eugene's story has a lot of relevance in today's world, in our modern world. You know, I've thought about this a lot, and I try to give thought to my stories as I'm doing this. When I came down this way, you know, thinking, and I actually drove to the wrong cemetery on the way. Sure did. Pulled in up to the flagpole and realized I was at the wrong one. I got to go on down. With all of the talk, I know y'all have heard this, defund the police, all this kind of stuff going on. Here's how I see it, guys. Here's how I see it. I've been around a minute. I have been in situations where I've got this ticket for 26 and a 25. I had one tell me I didn't stop long enough at a stop sign. He conceded that I did indeed stop, but didn't stop long enough. When I asked how long I was supposed to stop, he said that I was being a smart mouth, but he didn't use the word mouth. As a matter of fact, had to pay both tickets. Kind of makes you, I think it kind of makes civilians in general paint law enforcement with the same brush, all law enforcement with the same brush. But I think it's like anything else. You will have good people and bad people in anything. The difference is when you have a bad one, they have a badge that they can abuse. And that's why I think that the good ones should be pointed out when you see them. You know what I'm saying, right? No, that's why I think. I don't want to sit on the grave and tell y'all this. But anyway, Eugene's funeral took place on Sunday, April 7th at 1 o'clock in the gym at the Mingo Central High School. Thousands of people came to pay their respects during the visitation and the service. Over 500 law enforcement officers representing states from Alaska to Texas attended. Additionally, 273 police cars joined the funeral procession to the funeral. Rosie Crum, Eugene's wife, she approached her husband's open casket during the funeral. She gently stroked his head with a U.S. flag draped over part of the casket, surrounded by bright flowers. Reverend Paul Cottle, a family member, spoke up, or a family friend, I'm sorry, not a family member, a family friend, spoke up, urging everyone there to support her. We need to stand behind her, help her, and fight for her. Let's stand up. I know he would say that. Don't give up the fight and stand for what's right.
Sheriff Crum was a friend, a leader, a role model, dedicated to the safety of the citizens of Mingo County, a loving and devoted father, grandfather, and husband, who always placed family first.
Sheriff Crum, your term is ended. We will continue to fight here until we meet again. And always remember, in the sheriff's words, if you're dealing drugs in Mingo County, we'll be knocking on your door soon.
Rest in peace, knowing that your fight did not go in vain. All units sold 700. Sheriff Eugene Crum, 1042 at 1713, April the 7th, 2013.
Make it clear.
After the service, people gathered beside the road along the way to the cemetery here in Lenoir. Some held signs and balloons, while 2 fire trucks from Williamson created a flag-draped arch that read, with a sign that read, "Goodbye to our hero," as they waited, for the hearse to pass. Eugene enjoyed football games with his grandson, spending time with family by the pool, and fishing on his pontoon boat during the summer. But he did have a bigger dream: to bring the sheriff's department together. Judge Thornsberry said, "Many of us don't chase our dreams, but Crum did. He went after drug dealers not for fame, but because he witnessed too much pain. I've been to too many funeral homes and wakes. I've seen too many families in tears." Eugene wanted to make a change. He actually tried to eliminate the drug problem in his community. County Commission President John Mark Hubbard said Crum made a real difference in his time. He urged everyone in the room to honor Crum's sacrifice by continuing the fight for change, as the crowd responded with applause. I'd like to leave the story as it is, but I need to add that a year later, Judge Michael Thornsberry was sentenced to 4 years in a federal prison. Thornsberry was charged on August 13th in 2013 with 2 counts of conspiracy for allegedly attempting to frame the husband of his secretary and former mistress. 2 days later, the West Virginia Supreme Court suspended him without pay and suspended his law license. And so, the cycle continues on. If you've got a good, almost fell. If you've got a good police officer in your town, guys, shake his hand and tell him thanks. If you've got a bad one, I guess avoid that town. About the best you can do. Anyway, like I said, guys, we wanted to bring y'all out here on this Easter Sunday. About the only time until, what, Christmas? We could have told this story when town would be not swarmed with loud vehicles to where I could even tell you the story. Anyway, like I said, rest in peace, Eugene. And we will see you on the very next episode. Leo out.